Keen, ready, feeling good. No, thanks very much for coming in, mate. We were sort of nervous about you coming on. Like Hogan, he's like, no. I don't see why you'd be here. I'm like, man, he's doing like publicity, getting ready for a major event. You're gonna take every chance you get.
Yeah, sweet as.
Um,
Oh yeah, let's do it.
So, the question I'm sure everyone's like got burning in their minds: what's going on with the weekend? We having a good one? Got it all set up?
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Everything's down the front beach again?
Yep. It's all classic.
Is it just the sound shell or the entire...
No, the whole area. We've got everything
the whole
going
Santa
on.
Barbara parade.
Yeah, whole Santa Barbara parade. We've got road closures, everything. It's all pretty much followed suit to everything that was going on in the past.
Yeah.
You know, I got a few where do you want to start? I mean, like, what do you want to talk about the weekend? Do we want to talk about the road there, or what do we want to do?
Let's start with the road, because going from the last one, like I had a bit to do with the last one.
Yeah, right.
And it didn't go real well. Let's put it that way. Like, just no one showed up to it. Event ran well on the day, but if there's no one there, it's not a good event. That's how it goes.
Totally.
And now we've seen like the redemption, the revival of it, essentially.
Yeah.
And you got this huge like branding refresh, this new energy going on. It looks real awesome.
Mm.
Where's it all coming from? Like, did you just see what was happening, where it was sitting, and just be like, I gotta pick this up? Or
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, I'm a web designer, so I was helping Russ, you know, just keep the website alive for the last year, just because, you know, he was trying to get someone to take it over, and you know, he had a few blokes that were interested, and then they weren't interested, and then, you know, like the whole thing was just about to die, and all of his ABNs and everything was expiring, and, you know, he wasn't going to keep it started up again. So
yeah, because there was like a 5 or 6 year hiatus where the fishing classic didn't happen.
yeah, pretty much COVID came and then it stopped.
Yeah.
And then they did the 2023, but they were really late to the party, and then ended up doing it in December, changed the dates, and it was horrible because, you know, it was cyclone warning or something that week, and everyone, Christmas holidays, everyone went. No, I didn't. I was here. You know, I didn't even know it was on. To be honest, I didn't even know about it. So it was just kind of one of those things. And then, just didn't happen the way it should have. And I think people thought maybe that was the end of it, you know, then and there. So, and look, I knew nothing about it. I'm from Sydney. I've been living here 4 years, something in Bowen, and I was just talking to Russ on the phone constantly, and every conversation with him was 2 or 3 hours, you know, where he told me everything about how great the classic was, you know, for years and years and years. And
yeah.
so, you know, we got along well, and, you know, I'm a bit of a sucker for those old stories and, you know, reminiscing and stuff like that. So I,
Put a heartbeat in it.
that's it, mate. You know, he was sort of rang me one day, and I was on the board of the Chamber of Commerce.
Yep.
And I said to Russ, you know, like, I'll bring it up at the chamber, and, you know, maybe they could take it over, you know, because he used to use like non-for-profits for bits and pieces of the thing, you know, but I think, you know, it was when I spoke to Sharon about it, it was agreed that, you know, it would have been better off being a non-for-profit thing of its own, like proper structured thing, you know.
Yeah.
And so I talked to the Chamber of Commerce about maybe implementing it and taking it over and, you know, using it as one of their things, but, you know, it didn't go down too well for them. They weren't interested. So after that, you know, Russ said to me, you know, what are we going to do? It's going to die. So I said, fine, I'll take it. Bloody hell, let's do it.
Someone's got to do it.
So look, I saw the opportunity, because I think there was a lot of structure to it already. Like, you know, like it already was what it was, you know, whereas like my skill set, digital and stuff like that, is what it really needed. You know, it needed structure, it needed like digital structure, it needed like, you know, to be organized and everything, you know. So, well, you know, I'm pretty good at that sort of stuff. So I saw what I could do for it, you know, and that's essentially how it went down, you know.
Yeah, sweet.
You know, I like to talk to people. I like to get around. Already when I was in town, you know, since I've been here, because I built websites and stuff like that, and the whole of the Whitsundays needs websites. You know, like needs a digital boost.
Yeah,
you know,
uplift.
so,
Yeah.
uplift. So everywhere I go, I talk to people. I talk to them about their businesses and to like find out what everyone's doing and what's going on. And so I already had this sort of like, you know, I could, you know, really lift this place up sort of mentality, you know. So when I saw what the classic was and when Russ like actually showed me and I met him and met the, you know, went in and saw what it was all about, then, you know, I thought maybe I could do something with it. So why not?
Pick it up and start running. And like in the past, there's always been like this real solid core team, and it was always a mountain of work for it. How are you navigating through that? Like, you got a good team behind you, you got people helping out. And
I got no team. It's just me. So
You're doing everything.
yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
I got a bloke who sort of helps me with bits and pieces, you know, just because I needed someone to bounce off. But apart from that, I've just done it all, you know. It's all up here.
Yeah,
I
right.
just, you know, look, it's not. I mean, like I said, it was a pretty structured thing anyway. Like I'm sort of following suit to what it was.
Following a
you know,
formula.
like following the thing. Like I haven't like made any drastic changes to the event itself. You know, like it's just gonna go the same. But probably the hardest thing was, you know, getting everybody back into the idea of it, and that's only just really happening now. Like a month before, you know, like
which
it's
is
been
scary.
it is, and look, the whole thing's been scary because I sort of committed 6 months ago and have just been going on the like, yeah, it'll be fine sort of mentality.
So Aussie.
So,
Should be right, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
alright. Look, you know, if you ask, you know, people who know me, that's kind of a bit what I'm like. So
I'm more coming from a like jaw dropping stance, because like that sounds good up there. Me and Calm were quite heavily involved in that, and we just sort of know what it takes to put on something of that stance. And then you got the fishing classic that, you know, most of Bowen know about, so it's going to be an even bigger event than sounds good up.
yeah, it's looking
Yeah.
like it's going to be pretty big, I would say. You
Yeah.
know, like it's coming together pretty good. I was I was nervous. Don't get me wrong. Like in those last couple of months, and like because I, you know, got the boat and everything. Like, you know, everyone I spoke to had their opinions, and that was good too. You know, like because I went around town talking to everyone and like, what do you reckon? You know, I'm going to do the fishing classic, blah blah blah, and everyone's like, hey, we'd love to see it back. Like I got a lot of that. You know, like people were into it. You know, people like really wanted it back, thought it was the best thing ever and stuff. But a lot of people had opinions too about how it could be better and this and that and whatever. And look, all little things, you know, and.
You're going to get that.
Yeah,
No matter what it is.
Totally.
Yeah.
But it's all good, you know. Like the main thing is everyone's. And look, I've had nothing but positivity.
Yeah.
You know, like it's been great. You know, once we started marketing stuff, it's just boom. You know, really popped off. You know,
I've seen that marketing everywhere too. I'm loving the new designs, loving that refresh.
I had to do it. I went through instantly. I thought like, nah, I got to do it properly. I'll make it into a incorporated association. So that was the first step, and that took months. You know, it's a big process. I don't know if anyone's built a non-for-profit before, but it's a long process, lot of forms, a lot of shit like that, you know. So I'm good with computers. I mean, that's the other thing, you know, I'm able to get through all that stuff. You got to be a patient person to be able to pull off all of that sort of thing. So I went through, did the non-for-profit thing, you know, and then during that process, I'd already been speaking to like the economic board at council and stuff, because I've got other projects, business related projects that I'm doing, and I've been speaking to them, and I mentioned it there, and they were like, oh look, you know, since you're doing that, if it's a non-for-profit, you know, and it's a sort of a restarter, you can apply for this it's like a economic driver event, tier 2 economic tourism driving event, you know, so then you can apply for more funding and more in-kind support from council and that sort of thing, but it levels you up in the Whitsundays to be like something that's going to draw people here and not just a community event, which is what it's always been, because it's very limited the support the council can give a community event. They can sort of give you like, you know, up to $5,000 of in-kind support, which is basically just what they had every year, where the council comes down and, you know, throws in a couple of their employees and combs the beach and does the usual couple of things, you know. So, you know, once I sort of spoke to them and, you know, thought that was a possibility, that changed things a bit. You know, made me realise that it could be something bigger. You know, but. You know, it was one of those situations where I kind of had to make it then, like, really focus on making it look like it was going to be that, you know, so...
I think it'll be a big driver from people all around too, because you've got the fishing aspect of it, where, you know, people are trying to get that, the tagged fish and all that sort of stuff.
Fish,
like,
totally.
So you're getting people from Townsville even further, even Cairns.
I've got, currently as it stands, the most tickets sold is Townsville and Mackay, like, way more than in Bowen itself, you know, like, so... Straight off the bat, there was huge interest from Townsville, Mackay. My first sponsors that came on board that sort of jumped at the opportunity were all in Mackay. You know,
and that should drive the council to be like...
Absolutely. And it was, I mean, the meeting where council decided was the 27th of August, 4 days ago or something like that. So I only just found out that this was all...
So you got all this in place, and then you're just like hoping everyone comes on board.
And that was like, that's the funding that's going to pay for like the performers.
That's the she'll be right paying off.
Yeah, that's it. So
getting there.
I was like, you know, and I kept saying to the council, I was like, yeah, look, you know, this is going to happen. You know, like, and they're like, look, you know, it's out of our hands, because it goes up to that next level. You know, it's not just Whitsundays, it was the Townsville one and all that sort of stuff. So, but it was 7-0 the votes. Everyone, the council was all the councillors. They were all.
That's what we want to see. That's what we want to see. Speaking of performers, who you got doing the entertainment? You running all the entertainment too, or
is this a secret?
Nah, secret.
Under the books, under wraps.
Look, we just sorted that. You know,
nice.
We've just sorted everything.
Because that's short term for a lineup,
mate. This is all going to be announced this week, you know, like, and look, to be honest, you know, it's kind of been kind of cool doing this sort of month before big marketing push, you know, like, because I was sort of like freaking out about it, like, because I'm a marketer, you know, and I was like, oh man, we got, you know, 3 months left, haven't started marketing yet. Oh shit, there's 2 months left, haven't started marketing yet. Oh no, we're a month away, we haven't started marketing yet, you know, but it was kind of cool, you know, like that first post that I put up, we got 50,000 views on that.
That's good.
Social post, you know, like
I guess that's the beauty of doing it digitally, though. Like you can update your things, you know, weekly, daily if you wanted to. But
exactly, and look, I had a little bit of pushback about the whole digital thing, but it's funny because it kind of came full circle. Yeah, look, it was a bit like that, you know, like, because a lot of people are like, you know, what you got to buy, because they did that in 2023 where they sold tickets online, you know, but it was a bit disjointed, you know, like you had to go to whatever it was, Whitsunday tickets or something like that. And so it was a bit like
it wasn't fluid.
Yeah, it wasn't flowing, and whereas mine's different. I built the website and I built ticket sales into the website and everything. Like, it's all, you know, really flows really nicely, QR codes and stuff. So it makes a lot more sense, you know, because that's the way it's got to be happening. You know, I track everything. I've got mad data, you know, all that sort of stuff. So the council's happy, you know, because, and that was one of the biggest selling points for the council, was that, like, you know, I got this awesome data set, you know, for what's going on. You know, I ask people the questions like, when they buy tickets, you know, are you coming here to stay? Are you going to be here for the weekend? Are you going to do this? You know, like, and council's keen as about that sort of stuff, because, you know, that's what's missing in the Whitsundays is data. You know, we don't get data from anywhere here. There's no digital connection for anything, you know, like, it's just, you know, like banks or something, like transactions. That's about all it is, you know, all the annual reports.
I work for a massive company. I'm not going to say their name, but we run paper.
Yeah,
they're a massive company. And we run paper. Like,
it's crazy, man. I'm going to change all of that. no, honestly, like, it really is a unique situation where it's this whole region, which just happens to be one of the biggest tourism spots in Australia. And, you know, there's no digital aspect to it. You know, it's so, everyone's running on paper and stuff like that, and it blows my mind.
Still just want cash, and they don't want to know about it.
And paper, it blows my mind. You know, and like, it really is setting it back, to be honest. You know, like, a lot of businesses are struggling, and that's got a lot to do with that. You know, and you know, I'm working on a couple of other projects that are gonna, you know, hopefully help that situation as well. And this is like a sort of a proof of concept for me as well. You know, like, it's not just all because I'm such a great guy and I want to, like, help the fishing classic, you know, like, it's going to be good for me too, because I can show people like digitally how something can, you know,
So you can grab a
just
hold
out
of
of
this.
nowhere just come and like make such a big change, you know, just
Resuscitate it,
because,
yeah.
just because, you know, you're doing things the right way, using the right channels and things like that. You know?
Is this the biggest thing you've got sort of adding to your personal portfolio, or is this just going onto a list of accomplishments?
Look, I don't know, man. I like to do just whatever's in front of me, you know, like, and I've been freelancing for, I don't know, 20 years now. Like, I used to work jobs and stuff, graphic design and stuff like that, and then started freelancing, and I've traveled the world. We lived in Europe for 6 or 7 years, and, you know, did some stuff over there, come back, was living in Sydney, didn't like it anymore, came up here, it was just the next thing. First thing I saw here was this situation, you know, like, so I've been trying to find something to, like, help boost this, you know, narrative that I'm trying to sell to everyone, because I've just been trying to speak it out, you know, like I joined the Chamber of Commerce straight away, and I started speaking there and like telling the Bowen people, like, you know, you guys got to step up, you know, like you got to step up and step up your digital and stuff like that. And, you know, the main thing is because there's just nothing, you know, like we struggled when we moved here to find anything digitally. Like you can't, there's nothing online.
Yeah.
If you want to know about any event, like even like now, like the Bowen show or something like that, like you got to see it on Facebook the week before it starts, like it's on, you know, like otherwise you'll just never know. You know, people leave comments, oh, when's the Bowen show on? It's the same date it's been every year. You know, if you're a Bowen person, you know, then sure, you know, let's do it, you know, so.
Races are a good one for that. How often do you go, oh, the races are on? That's kind of cool.
So, look, you know, there's a lot of, and there's no central point anywhere where you can find that sort of information. And like, you know, like Bowen Tourism Business stuff, they do their thing, but like, same thing, there's no real, you know, spot where you can find all the businesses or you find all the stuff. Like, you know, I had the gas done at my house, plumbing gas thing, and I said to the dude, you know, like, oh, you must be have a pretty good business around here. What are you, like the only plumber in town? So he's like, no way, there's hundreds.
No,
you know,
there's
like,
quite a few. Yeah.
you just can't find them. You know, like it was just he was the one that had a website. You know, like so I found him. You know, like that sort of thing. So. I feel like there's a lot of lost opportunity and stuff like that. And businesses, you know, could be networking so much better. You know, there's a lot of, you know, this place could really be thriving, you know, like, and digitally, you know, it doesn't take a lot, you know, and that's what I'm keen to show through this fishing classic, because all I really did was, you know, build a cool website, you know, like put it out there, did social media, a couple of posts. Like I haven't even done that much, but the response has been like, unbelievable. Like, you know, that, like, I haven't had that social media response in any of the projects I've done. Like, you know, that sort of like, we're sitting on like 100,000 views in, you know, 12 days or 12 days or something like that. Like, I just
crazy.
haven't had that before, you know, like, and not just that, but like the sharing aspect of it, like everyone's so pumped, you know, like it got shared like hundreds of times around and all different things, and like went everywhere, you know, like instantly. Like that was in a couple of days. Like when I messaged council and I said like, oh look, council, you know, like here's all my stats from a few days, like, you know, like, and here's like, you know, 10,000 website views and bloody, you know, 50,000 views on the first post, 100,000 views total. Like that was all over like, you know, 4 or 5 days. So I was like, you know, I was pumped. I was like, yeah, this is mad, you know, like it didn't take much, you know, like, and like the right type of targeted and proper marketing too, you know, like you got to not just like putting up a post and like, hey, you know, here I am, fishing classic, but like doing it properly, you know. And yeah, I was, you know, all over it, man. And the rest of it just kind of had like, you know, like the council stuff and the not-for-profit stuff and all the forms and everything like that would, I can see how that deters people, but like this sort of thing, like Bowen needs this, like these events and stuff, like come on, the sounds good thing, like, you know, could be doing stuff like that all the time, you know. You know, that's what this place needs, you know, a bit of you know, kick up the arse with that sort of stuff. You know?
A lot of people are scared to take a chance, hey.
Yeah, and deterred, you know, like I feel like, you know, I definitely have felt along the way like I haven't been supported, you know, like I feel like, you know, because you kind of go through the waves, you know, at first everyone was excited and then it kind of dropped off and it was just me again, you know, and then it kind of went through different stages where, you know, I made some sort of advancement and then people were excited again and then it kind of dropped off again. You know, I feel like it's got a little bit of that going on where, you know, you got to stick with it, and that's a hard part. You know, especially if you're dealing with counseling, you're dealing with things. Because that, like I said, that counsel thing, like I was doing that for months and months and months and months, and like just the 27th was the final meeting, you know, and thank God it all went through and that worked out. But yeah, look, and the sponsors, like I've been peddling for sponsorship for months and months and months, and they're all just jumping on board now. Like,
starting
you know,
to jump in and be there.
Once I started marketing and stuff like that, and people saw that I meant business, you know, then sponsors wanted to be involved, and like, you know, people started to buy tickets and stuff like that. And so I feel like there's a bit of that mentality around here where people wait to see if it's going to be actually successful first, and then, you know, jump on and look. And you know, it made me nervous because I'd already put bloody deposits on that boat and everything. Like boat prize, like $30,000 boat and shit. And I was like, you know, like, yeah, sure. I've looked at the financials from the past. We'll have enough money, you know. Like,
It's like everything should be good.
Everything will be fine, you know. Like, so there's been a little bit of that, but look, it seems like it's all coming together.
One that was always a pain. How'd your liquor license go? You got that all sorted already?
No, that was probably all right.
Ah, that's excellent to hear.
I cut it down, man. I didn't do not fencing the whole thing. So
It saves you a fortune,
saves a fortune. I didn't know way I was going to have that sort of money. You know, because to fence that whole, and not just that, like I don't like the fencing. You know, the first thing I said when I saw it, regardless of the liquor license, was like, ew, no, I don't want to be caged in. You know, that's a beautiful parklands area down there. That's like, why would you want to close that in? Like, we're not going to have a cover charge to get in, so like, you know, you may as well just have that all open, you know, people can walk through and just be there, you know, like, you don't, why fence it off, you know, like, and then it made sense because we're gonna have like where the stage is and the weighing stage, we changed the layout a little bit, so we'll have an licensed area. Which will be sort of situated in a place where they can watch the weighing stage, they can watch the main stage, but like, you know, like a sort of 20 meters squared area, you know.
Over near the old family bar? Crest of the hill towards the ocean?
Yes.
Yeah, that was always the best spot for it.
Yes, that's right, the family bar. So then it'll come down towards where the weighing stage is going to sit on the other side on Santa Barbara Parade and stuff. So we're compacting it all a little bit, you know, like, because I want to keep the vibe going in a small area, but then people can branch out if they want to, you know, like it's cool, you know, like, so the licensing wasn't a problem because, by breaking it down,
have it close
you
in.
only have to have, you know, this many security guards and this much fencing, and you can have meter high fencing and all that sort of stuff, which will make it so much nicer, you know, because that boxed in, caged in feeling, I feel like kind of ruins it a little bit. And you've got that beautiful view. Like if you're down there in front of the sound shell and there's stuff going on in the beach and stuff, you don't want all that to be fenced off. Like, you know, it's a bit, you know. So saved a lot of money on fencing, saved a lot of money on security, because to have that big fence there, you need 15 security guards, and you need 15 security guards is, you know, $70-$80 an hour or something like that. Like they were spending 10 grand on security, they were spending 10 grand on fencing, like all that sort of stuff. I just have been doing as much money cutting as possible, you know, getting as much free stuff as I can, you know, like everybody in town has been great with that, you know, and that's where the community's really stepped up, because, you know, I've been going and meeting all the sponsors, talking to everyone. I'm not just some dude behind a computer. Like I'm going down to Mackay on Tuesday to go meet all the sponsors down there and, you know, make sure everything's good and pick up banners and everything. I want the place to look unreal. Like it's got, you know, everyone's logos. It's all about promoting all the local businesses and stuff like that.
For sure.
You know, that's what it's all about to me. You know, I'm not trying to in any way be the, you know, like, you know, I'm sitting on top of all of this. Like I want it to be, you know, part of everybody. So all the community's been great, you know, like, and things I've needed, I've just asked around, and, you know, like people have been like, yeah, we can, you know, we can do that, you know, we can sort that out. So look, that's been great. And I've had a lot of offers from builders and things like for fencing and stuff like that and all that sort of stuff. So look, it's been good, man. It's been really good. It's been good. People, it's like I said, it's just kind of been falling together, you know, and like I've just been talking and people been talking, and then I just meet the right people, and then it just kind of works out. So it's been good.
An interesting one. What sort of lessons are you taking away from this already? Like, it's only in that lead up stage where you're giving it a crack. The event's not here, but you would have learnt a small mountain of stuff already to capture. What do you think is maybe the most important thing? Because, like, I know from the ones we did, it was always like, if you built it and got it together, it was 90% of the battle. Just getting down there, getting everything put up, getting it all laid out is 90% of the battle. Once people are there, once music's on, everyone's having a good time. It's just that huge run up to get that happening.
Yeah. Well, I guess the lesson kind of played out already in itself. Like, you know, is that I just kind of let it figure itself out in a way. You know, it's kind of, well, I know that sounds, it sounds very, but it's kind of like I was just saying. You know, like the people getting involved. It's almost like when you said do I have a good team behind me? I really feel like it's like the whole community has been the team. You know, like it's really been like that. Like, you know, I haven't necessarily delegated to people, but then when something needs to be done, you know, like people have stepped up, or like, you know, and it's really been like, I hadn't even organized alcohol or anything like until like a week ago, you know, like, and that was a big one because Forex used to sponsor, and they used to, you know, donate pallets of alcohol, and that's where profit came from, and I hadn't even organised that, and I was just talking to a dude, and he knew someone at the Grandview or something like that, and I was like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to talk to the Grandview, you know, so then got in touch with the Grandview, and now they're going to come on as naming partner, so that's
fantastic.
Awesome. So thanks, Grandview, you know, like, because that's, well, look, you know, like I wanted it to be, like in the past, it's been like the after party there at the Grandview and stuff like that, so I'm really excited about that partnership because, you know, Saturday night, we got the finish up and we'll time it up with them, and then everyone can go.
Almost got the name drop there. I saw it tick across. You went, oh.
So we got the Sunday, the after party will be there. And look, there's a couple of things. The Paul Bowen Cup's on at Proserpine same weekend, which at first council was like, you know, Paul Bowman's on, and like, you know, like it's going to be a bit of a problem because, you know, how are people going to have places to stay and whatever. I'm like, well, we're way past that, you know, like we're a month out, so no one's come to stay now. Like, you know, we're our target market, and this is like when you talk about target market and audiences and stuff, our target market then was people who are already coming to stay, or people who can get here, you know, Mackay and Townsville and stuff like that. Next year will be a very different ballgame. And look, I plan to keep this rolling all year. Like, this isn't just like, you know, September 22, the website dies, like in the past, you know, and then that's it. You don't revive it again until, you know, like May next year or something like that. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be like the sponsors that have come on, it's going to be their sponsorship rolls on to the next one. And we're going to keep marketing. We're going to keep the website alive. We're going to have all sorts of social media and videos and people who, like, how they went. We'll do mini comps through the year, you know, like, show us your best catch video or something like that, you know, like, yeah, why not? It's not hard to do stuff like that, you know, and the community needs something like that, like a rolling, interactive, you know, networking thing for businesses and for, you know, community, you know, like, because there's nothing like that. And I guess that's kind of what I want to illustrate, you know, is that, like, using digital channels, you can do stuff like that, you know, and it keeps, and like for the kids, man, like, kids are bored as shit around here. And, like, you know, I got 4 kids, and they love fishing.
What's the age groups?
They're all young, so 12, 10, 9, 6.
About to hit the teenagers.
Yeah, almost my daughter, she's in the teenagers. My 2 boys there in the middle, 10 and 9, they're close, and they both fish. And we live near Yasso Point, you know, so they're up there, Yasso Point fishing all the time, down at the jetty, down at the boat ramp. And, you know, they're excited. They want to be all over it, but the thing is that, you know, like, it doesn't have to end there. Like, kids these days with phones and computers and stuff like that, you know, like, keep it going, keep it rolling, like, give them something to work towards, you know, like, and even just something like that. I've seen a couple of the fishing pages and stuff, Townsville and stuff, do, you know, little, you know, every month, like, best, biggest catch, you know, you get a voucher or something like that, like, you know, little things like that, you know, keep it all going, you know, keep it all alive, you know.
I think there was something they did in Brisbane where it was quite a big fishing page, and whoever got fish of the month, they got their picture on the display picture for the page.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they got that for the month, and
Yeah,
That was a
totally.
pretty cool idea.
Yeah, look, and the kids are all over it. Like, they love it. Like, I put a bunch of photos of my kids in the promo videos and the website and stuff like that, and all their friends at school, we want to be in there, you know, like, so the kids love that sort of stuff. And I'm building a website for the seagulls, Bowen seagulls.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And same thing, like I put like a photo of my boy, because both my boys play, and I put a couple of photos of them, you know, tackling them on the footy page, and then the kids messenger, all their friends are sending them pictures and stuff. Tell your dad to put us in the website, you know. But it's that sort of reaction is what I want, because it's just something so simple, you know, like it gives kids a kick, you know, like I like that sort of thing. So, you know, we'll keep it going, we'll keep it alive, we'll connect it to everything we can, you know, keep this digital hub going, man. Like, it'll be
Just
good.
real quick in there, how are you finding like balancing being there for your kids and like your family on top of all this extra workload you've sort of got now? Because
Yeah.
it's must be quite hard to show up and be like super present for them at the same time as, oh, could you kids like come help me be involved with this? And they'd be keen,
Yeah.
but it's still a lot of stuff going on at the same time.
Sure, look, you know, I work late nights, but look, my family's unique, man. We've been living together. I quit working when my daughter was born, so I didn't want to, you know, in Sydney, I was traveling, you know, a couple of hours to work, you know, like every day and coming back, and it was very quick. We decided, like, yeah, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be that dad. There was just nothing wrong with that, but like, it wasn't my thing. Where just come home at 7 o'clock and see your daughter, and then she goes straight to sleep, and then that's it. You leave again in the morning. So like, pretty quickly, I just didn't want to do that. I had a European citizenship. My family's Estonian. And I said to my wife, you know, like, let's go live in Estonia. We'd been already traveling to Europe and stuff like that. We love traveling. And I said, look, let's go. And we did. My 2 boys were born over there in Estonia. We were going to go for a year. We stayed for 6 years or something. We loved it. We loved being there. And like having that sort of, like that family. We're such a tight family. You know, we're always together, all of us together. We didn't have any extended family or anything. So, and we've stayed like that. We came back, went to Sydney, you know, we had my littlest daughter, and then did the family thing a little bit, but, you know, again, we're keen to go off on our adventures, and we did. So we've been living like that since our kids were born, you know, tight family. We do everything together, everything, and it's the same with this, you know. I work in amongst my family, you know, like my kids are still yelling at me, coming and grabbing me while I'm working, like it's all good, and I share it all with them, you know. I talk them through everything I'm doing. You know, my daughter, my kids are all clever, you know, they're all good with computers and stuff like that. They're all very interested in what I do. I show them, you know, I show and tell with my kids first out of everyone, you know, because kids are honest, and, you know, they understand, you know, and totally. And they also understand, you know, better. Like, I'll get a way better, you know, critique out of my kids than I will them going and trying to explain to someone who doesn't know how to use computers and stuff in town, you know, like, and it's been, look, you know, it is what it is. That's just how we are, you know, like, and we've always been that, you know, and like, yeah, it has its challenges, sure, but, you know, it doesn't all parenting. Like, that's just parenting these days, you know, trying to find that balance between work and life, but no, it's been all right. It's been pretty good. It's nice to be in a town like this. That's why we came here, you know. Like,
have you found that Bowen sort of opened their arms to you? Like,
mate, unreal. You know, we fit straight in. You know, you got to be a certain type of person, I think, to be in a town like this. You know, like I had my sister and stuff come and visit. Look, it wasn't for them. You know, like, it's a bit slow, but that's what we were looking for. You know.
Yeah. There's no red lights here.
No,
like
God,
no street lights
no,
here.
it's perfect. And like, you know, where we lived in Sydney, just, you know, no way, no comparison. Just because, you know, like, you couldn't even walk out. Like, kids couldn't even walk out the door, you know, into the street. So,
I did a 10-year stint in Brisbane, and what I found was that it was becoming a lot like Melbourne, where everyone's walking like this. You know, no one's got time to even.
It was funny when I went back to Sydney. That was the one thing I messaged my wife straight away from the airport, and I was like, you know, like you don't see anyone's eyes ever.
Yeah.
We would get to the airport, Sydney airport, and it's just everyone is looking at a phone. It was insane. I think I took a video of it. Like, you know, it's like everyone just staring at their phones and everything. You just felt so disconnected.
Yeah,
like, and I felt so like, oh.
Isn't it like the the green walkie man, they're making them permanently beep because
Yeah,
people are like
people
walking
like
into
just
them and
walking,
stuff. Like,
yeah.
that's insane. Like,
Because everybody's just too busy staring at their phone.
yeah.
We say on a median for a phone when you do phone market.
yeah, totally. But look, I straight away became allergic to people immediately. You know, like going back to the city. Like, I became one of those people. Like, oh, the city. I grew up in the city, but like, you know, I became one of those people that was like, you know, like when I went back to Sydney, I was like, oh my god, there's too many people, and it's like so overpopulated, and the cars and everything, like it was just so fast and everything. So Estonia is only 1 million people, you know, so it's a very slow, small town, you know, sort of.
I don't want to offend you, but you look like a bloody Viking.
I got to do this Viking stuff here. You know? So yeah, look, you know, different place over there. They're, you know, not the warmest people, you know. But it's a nice place to be, you know, and it's a nice place to have a family, and they're very welcoming, you know, the government and everything was very good to us, and, you know, we were able to live there very nicely, you know, like, and so moving to Bowen was like a similar thing, you know, like we came in, my wife's Fijian background, so warm place this time. Sony was cold, you know, minus 20, you know, in the winter, stuff like that, so real cold.
How'd you find Bowen? Like, how did you come across Bowen out of all the towns?
Just found it on the map, mate. We came up in COVID, you know, Sydney was hot spot everywhere, and we were just hating it, you know, we were miserable there, and like, you couldn't get rentals, you couldn't do anything, it just sucked, you know, we'd been away for so long that we had no record here anymore, and like after 6 years, you lose everything, you know, when you come back, and we struggled to get a rental, struggled to get work, anything, and like even my work, like in Sydney, like web stuff, like it's just, you know, it's a different sort of thing, you know. I'm very I build complex systems, you know, system work, you know, platforms and things like that, not just like pretty WordPress sites, and there's just not a market for it there, you know, because there's so many people trying to do it. Like they got a lot of, you know, people coming from India and stuff like that who just are happy to do it for nothing, and you just can't compete, you know. Like, so I struggled to find anything there, like, you know. And then, we wanted to go somewhere warm, like nice, and my wife sort of stumbled upon Early Beach, and it seemed feasible, and then she was just looking, I think, and, you know, like saw Bowen, and man, we saw the house prices, and we're like, let's go, you know. Like, so, and that was a journey in itself. Like, we had to, you know, flee from the red zone, you know, like of COVID, which was hard. We sort of, you know, had to, literally like leave.
One of those border
in the middle
jumpers.
of the night, you know, and like leave, and we got up and they shut the border on us, like, and we'd already left. Like, we decided to get rid of everything and just take what we could in our car and go, and we were just going to drive here and just, like, you know, hope for the best, you know. So we did that, and then we got to regional New South Wales, and, you know, that day they shut the border, so we were stuck there. We stuck there, and we lived there in caravan park for like a month or more, I think, you know. And that sucked. Yeah, we couldn't get over. We had all the right paperwork and all that sort of stuff, but because of where we were coming from, they just wouldn't let us through. And then we applied for all the different things you could apply for, like try and get through and everything. So it took months, and then we finally got accepted into quarantine. So we had to fly. We had to go back to Newcastle and then fly to bloody Brisbane Airport, and that was just shit house, mate. Like, it was like we were criminals, you know. Like, they meet you at the airport and like walk you down like you're on bloody death row or something. You're walking through the airport with like 10 cops. I'm like, man, who's paying these guys? Like, you know, there was like on the plane, because of like distancing and stuff. Like, there was probably like, you know, 15 of us on a plane. Like, you know, and like it was like you fly over and then you get off and there's like a couple of groups and they walk, like they had like 10 cops on either side, like walking us through. Like, the whole thing was just nuts. It was the most ridiculous bloody thing. And then we go into quarantine for 2 weeks, then hotel for bloody 2 weeks.
I don't know how Melbourne did it. Like, Sydney got it a little bit better than Melbourne, right? Like, I know Melbourne was like proper lockdown, wasn't it?
Melbourne was grim.
They really locked it down, They weren't letting them even leave the house. You got like get fined if you left the house or some shit.
Yeah, that's right.
So naturally, the Queensland government needs to know: have you taken your 50,000 boosters that do nothing yet?
No, I didn't take any. We stayed clear of all that shit. We're we were against all of that crap, you know, like, and then we just came up. Look, and we ended up, we had a rental and then lost it. And it's hard to get rentals in Bowen.
Oh, yeah.
And at that point, like, I remember ringing the real estate and she's like, no, I've got like 50 applications for this place. There's no way in the world. And they're not going to accept you because you're coming from Sydney and you don't have jobs and you know all this shit. So that sucks. So we ended up buying a house online because the houses here were so cheap to buy at the time.
Yeah, they were real cheap at that stage.
Yeah, it was like a real nice time to buy in Bowen.
Yeah, because you rode that COVID wave and would have made equity instantly.
It just was meant, well, look, it was meant to be, man.
Yeah.
We just,
I'm not mad at you, man. That's how I made my money.
Totally. Yeah, look, it's meant to be, man. We rocked up and kids can walk to school and they're at the skate park now, you know, just riding, doing their thing, you know. That was the best part of it, you know. Grew up like we grew up. You know? You can't be like that in cities anymore.
I grew up here, and it took 10 years of moving away and 2 years in Melbourne to really work out what I was missing, and had to come back.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
I would probably even move more north if Kate let me, my wife. But yeah, no, she's happy here, so I'm happy to stick.
We're stoked to be here. Like, Bowen's been great. And we just, the kids have a blast and they can just be with their friends and, you know, do their thing. And that's been the best part of it. The footy club's great. You know, the Seagulls been really supportive of everything and the kids love it, you know. And it's been awesome, you know. We haven't even thought twice about it.
Yeah, sweet.
And, yeah.
Sounds like you jumped straight in too. Like you fully jumped into the community. You became part of everything.
Definitely. I was from the moment I got here, got straight in. Because like I said, I did you know, I was freelancing, but like I called myself like a digital business consultant at the same time as doing web stuff because I like to walk into a business and say, you know, oh, you're doing this and this and this. You know, you could be doing this and this and this automated and this could be done. Like, save you like hours a day. You know, like doing this digitally. You know, a lot of people can't see. It's hard. It's a hard thing to do because you got to convince people. You know, like, and it was a different thing. Like in Sydney, it was sort of like convincing someone to choose me. Here, it's convincing someone to even do it. You know, like, you know, like, and it's like I heard this story where like the shoe salesman goes to Africa or something and the two shoe salesmen go and one guy's like, yeah, like, this is awesome, no one wears shoes, I'm gonna be rich, and the other guy goes, oh damn it, no one wears shoes, you know, like, and it was kind of like that, you know. I walked in and I was like, yeah man, this is like shooting fish in a barrel, like no one's got websites here, like I'll be able to, you know, like just show everyone the light and it'll be awesome. But then it kind of was more the other way where there's a reason why people don't have websites is because they don't, you know.
Oh, it's a fun one in town, isn't it? You go to like an old business, like, oh, I'll get you a website. They go, why? I don't need it. I don't want it.
And look, it's funny because I wish I could show my experience being here to people. You know, like when I first got here, I needed a job, part of the quarantine stuff. So I worked at Angel Signs in Cannon Vale doing graphic design stuff. And Angel Signs, they did all the new businesses in Cannon Vale and Early Beach and all the shop signage and stuff like that. And we would have businesses come in and their whole budget and everything was doing signs, doing car signs. Like, they'd spend like 10, 15 grand stickering up the whole business and the cars and all that sort of shit. Zero digital budget, you know. And I used to say them all the time because I was always side pitching, you know. And I was like, you need a website, what are you talking about? You know, no, it's all right, you know. I get enough business as it is, but that fizzles out pretty quick. You know, you know, that can be, like I was talking to like the electrician dudes down there and they're like, yeah, like that's how it was last year, you know, and then this year just nothing, you know.
I don't want to give you like job advice, but like, could you do something where you say, I'll lay this out for you, but I want a percentage of profits that you make from this advertising?
Yeah, look, I've been approached with situations like that, but look, it's just not where I want to be, to be honest.
Yeah,
like,
paid up front.
Yeah, and not even that. It's not even about the money. It's just I don't want to be chasing my tail constantly with like little businesses. Like I like bigger picture things. So like, you know, that's what I'm working on. One of the projects I'm working on is, you know, going to hopefully solve a lot of these problems for people. You know, I think the key to it's going to be making a platform that everyone can use, and like not so people don't have to take that big leap, you know, like from nothing to everything. Because I feel like, you know, what I realized pretty quickly in talking about lessons is that, like, probably the biggest lessons in all of this and in my own digital approach has been baby steps, you know, like realizing that, you know, like it's, I come in with like, yeah, you know, I'm such high energy when I talk to people, I'm like, I can do this, I can say, you know, change your world, you know, like all this sort of stuff. And, you know, it just doesn't, it doesn't fall the way I hope it does a lot of the time with people. And not in a bad way, just like it's big change, you know, and I understand that, and I'm coming to appreciate that as well, you know, and whilst there is a lot of that, you know, like, yeah, we're fine, you know, like we've got enough work and stuff. It's not just that. It's also like, I think about the next generations and things like that. I think about like the kids. I used to spend a lot of time at skate park with boys and stuff like that. And I talked to the older kids, you know, made friends with a couple of them, 17, 18-year-old dudes who were skating and stuff. And, yeah, all their friends, stuff like no job opportunities, like no work, no nothing.
Talking about that
you
just
know,
before.
like it sucks, you know, and like unless you want to work at Macca's or something, or like, you know, Woolies, or go and pick mangoes or something. There's not a lot going on, like, you know, and like most of the jobs here are already filled, you know, like there's not a lot of opportunity, and especially choice because you can. Who says you're going to get it right the first go? You know, like I you know, that sucks. It sucks that sort of like you have to go and choose one of the very few careers that are available, and then if you don't really like it, you don't have another choice, and then by that point you need money, you know, like, so you end up staying in this job you don't want to be in, and like it creates misery, you know, in people's lives. And with kids, that's a big problem, you know, because like they literally, like, you look at the 2016 and the latest census, and the difference is that the demographics is like, you know, people up to the age of 20, and then there's like no one, and then it starts again at 40, you know, like, so you got like young, like people in their 40s and their young families, but everyone in 20 is leaving Bowen. And then they either come back later.
My stories.
Yeah,
you
so
know,
everyone's story. They leave, and then they either come back later to have their family or something, because they know like this is a great family town or whatever, but there's no opportunity here, you know.
It's pretty hard here now too. That, like, I don't know if it's the same across the coast, but I know this region's cost of living is just insane. We're all riding that property wave of everything is double, triple, quadruple.
Yeah, but see, that's all coming to an end, you know. And this is what I mean, like, by, you know, like when I watched this happen when I moved here, and like the businesses after COVID, because that was like directly in COVID, and then just after. So businesses like were doing pretty good, but then that just fizzles out again. And if you haven't got some sort of foundation for your business, then, you know, like you just drop off, you know, like, and then someone who has got that foundation will take over, you know, like, and it's just, and not just that, but industry as well. Like there's very little like proper industry, you know, going on here. Like it's, and then you got someone like Gilmore's Base coming, and you know, they're just getting started, you know. So I said at the meeting, and I know guys from Gilmore's Base, like we went to school together, you know, back in Sydney, and so that was pretty funny. Like, you know, we got up here and he's like, oh yeah, we're building a rocket pad up there. I'm like, really? It's pretty cool. So
what you're saying about the businesses is sort of how I feel about the next gen of kids, because like what we were talking about earlier is you know, you're separating the go-getters from the people who let life happen to them.
Yeah.
And like, I'm trying to teach my kids that, like, if you can solve a problem, there's no reason why you shouldn't be paid for it, which is exactly what you're trying to do.
Yeah, sure.
And
I say that to my kids all the time.
Sort of builds the entrepreneurial spirit.
Absolutely. And look, there's so much of that around this town, you know, and I say that to my kids all the time. I'm like, pick a problem and solve it, and you've got a business, you know. Like, that's exactly it, man. Like, you take the words out of my mouth. That's what I said to my boys, and, you know, like, whatever somebody needs here, you know, because look, you know, nothing against, and I'm all about people stepping out and trying something. It's great, but it doesn't need to be a cafe, and and it doesn't need to. No, honestly, like, no offense to the cafe people, but like, you know, I feel like, you know, people think like, oh, I want to have my own business, and then they pick from a list of like a very small list of businesses that, you know, you start by yourself. That could be anything, you know, and come and talk to a guy like me, and I can make it happen, you know, like, and but people don't realize, you know, like you could make it happen, just like with digital things, like, you know, you could make a whole business happen, you know, even freelancing. Like, this is one of my big pictures, and I spoke about it at the Chamber of Commerce, and I was like, you know, like, kids right now can use computers and stuff like that. There's a whole bunch of this older generation here that are running their businesses on paper and stuff like that. Too scared to use computers, too scared to digitize everything, you know. The digital that they do is Excel spreadsheets and stuff, and then it sits on a folder on their desktop, and then that's it. You know, and it ends there, you know, like, whereas like kids could, you know, like freelancing, like that's what I used to do. Like, why not, like, you could have one kid even that does multiple businesses in town, like does all their digital book work and stuff like that, you know, and then you're giving a kid an opportunity to live a life where they can, because, you know, we're starting to move away from that 9-to-5 thing now. You know, I hate that crap, you know, like I got out of that as soon as I could, you know, like I've lived, you know, on the road, working at night, working through the night and living through the day, and, you know, that sort of thing, being with my kids, watching them grow up, you know, like, you know, the other side to it is that, like, the mining stuff, like, that's the only real opportunity, like, for adults here, like, you know, you end up going mining and you don't see your family half
Even,
the time.
mining is a single man's game. So.
Yeah,
mining and rail, you're always on shift work, you're always away.
Shift work's a big one, you know, like that. Like, I feel like, you know, there's a lot of things. And look, you know, I know, like, you know, I'm talking like big picture, but like, you know, why not? You know, why not get started? That's the thing, is that everyone talks about problems, but, you know, not solutions.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm
Well,
sure
yeah,
someone's you know?
just to reiterate on that, like, I grew up in a caravan park, and from the age of whatever grade 7 is to sort of 15, before I got my first proper job, I was doing chores for my mum, like going around getting all the rubbish out of people's things and putting that in the big thing. Across the road, we had a fruit and veggie stall, so when I'd get off the bus, I'd quickly go change my shirt and that, go over there, sweep the floors, stack the fruit, and then on top of that, me and another bloke who was at the caravan park, my age, we did a little car wash thing. So we'd go around, hit everyone up in the caravan park, can we wash your car? We'd drive it down, feeling real cool, and yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
And one of my ideas is that, and look, I won't go too much into all this stuff, but just making a platform for us around here with digital, so it'll make that, like, bar of entry a lot lower. You know, like, because I understand, and look, you get misled by digital companies. Like, if you don't have a guy who's going to explain this to you, you go to someone like, you know, what do they call it here? The local search. What do they call it? You know,
White pages, yellow pages,
yeah, any of those ones.
mobs,
yeah, all those local searches or whatever they are. And they just sell you a website for $6,000, and you pay $500 a month just to have it. Like, it's way too much money. You get nothing for it, just some brochure online that just sits there, you know. Like, whereas, like, properly, if you do a website, it should run your business for you. Like, you know, like, websites aren't just...
Yeah, you want an ROI on it.
Yeah, absolutely. But like people, it's all so complicated, you know. It doesn't need to be. Like, it's just like, you know, running a small business on the web. And the other thing is that, like, the software as a service things, like if you're real estate, you use RMS, and if you're in hotels, use the hotel one or something. But the statistics is that they use average, you know, 3 to 5% of the functionality of those systems. So, like, they build them like one size fits all. It's got like every possible thing you could ever do in there. And then these small businesses struggle with them because they only use the very basic parts of it, and so it's a big hurdle. And then every time you get a new employee, they got to learn how to use all this shit. But you're not learning how to use it, you're learning how to avoid the things that you don't use, you know. Like, so digitally it's a mess, you know. Like, so, you know, it's hard to get a custom system built for your business, whereas whereas like, you know, it costs a lot of money, there's a lot of like thought has to go into it and stuff like that. So I'm going to try
to see what you
I'm building a platform where it's just going to make this easier for people, because I realize that I can't just go around and build everybody their own thing, and it's just like, you know, we're going to all high five and run off into the sunset. You know, it's not going to happen like that. So if we can build a platform that sort of gives everybody the opportunity to run their business digitally, low cost, low, you know, skills needed to do it, you know, and look, then some kid can run it for you, you know, like give them a job, you know, you guys are saving hours, because the hours is the time is money. And I keep telling people, you know, like people complain about, you know, like working too much. I'm like, you know, digitally you can save so much time, and time is money, you know, like it's not about the money you're paying, you know, like you might have to, you know what, you put 10 grand down on a website or something, but it could save you a year's worth of time, you know, like the average, I did all my research when I moved here, you know, like the average person, small business owner here in North Queensland, who works 12 hours a day. Like, you know, you work your sort of like your 9 to 5, and then you spend the next 5 hours doing invoicing and shit like that, you know, like all the admin tasks and those types of things, you know, like half of that stuff can be automated, you know, like, and it's so easy, and it's so expected by people these days, you know, to have to fill in something on their phone or something. Like, it's not a big deal, you know, like even at the mechanic, you know, like go to the mechanic and they write everything down, and they have this one piece of paper and they run around, passing around to all the different places, and it's grease on it, and people can't read the numbers, and your VIN number, someone didn't write it legibly, you know, like, so, you know, like all of that stuff just causes problems, you know, spot fires, is putting out fires constantly all day, like people's time, you know, all those people, if you took like all the time that was wasted, like you probably got 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, like of time, and that's money, you know, like, so, you know, things like that solve the problem, you know, and the fishing classic fits right into it, you know, like I was able to pull this off in a way because I organized it digitally, you know, I had like, my digital system helped me do it in a way, if you want to know, like the team behind me, you know, like I had you know, my digital functionality, you know, made it a lot easier for me, you know, like to keep on top of it all and stuff like that. A lot of the things, you know, organizing a big thing is, you know, like organizing, like actually organizing it, you know,
1,000 little things together,
it, you know, making it all fit together, you know, and making sure that, you know, everything falls into place, you know, that's the key to it, really, you know, and anyone can do that with the right tools. They just got to get the tools, you know. So yeah, anyway.
So we had an awesome tangent. This is great. It's exactly what we try and do to everyone now.
Yeah.
Is just see how far we can push it.
Yeah.
What I'm really excited for is just to see it revised. I've loved all the new branding, the marketing. It's night and day, eh?
Yeah, and look, this one will be a smaller one, but yeah, look, I'm keen as to really, you know, brand it out. Like, you know, why not? You know,
Get
like Bowen needs a brand, you know, like a good one, you know, not just like the big mango.
Oh.
You know, look, nothing against all that, but, you know, like I feel like that's not Bowen at all. You know, and I've kind of my wife worked there for 6 months, and I got to see a little bit of the inner workings of all that sort of stuff. And look, you know, that's another one, like tourism Whitsundays, and I won't go too far into it, but like, you know, no digital aspect to it whatsoever, which blows my mind, because like they're visitor centers, you know, like they're meant to be, you know, like tracking stuff, you know.
It should be the forefront of tourism in the region.
Exactly, you know, exactly. Not just like, hey, come to the Big Mango. And like, that's pretty much what it is, you know, come to the Big Mango.
Yeah, people get
and the Big Mango's on the Bruce Highway, you know, on the way to Townsville. It's not in Bowen, you know, like the only high flyers that get thrown around are like, you know, there was this many visitors to the Big Mango, you know, like, which that's the only stats they have, which is fine. That's good for them, but for Bowen, not so much. You know, like people aren't coming into Bowen. They're just driving past and keep going, you know, having a mango sorbet on their way.
That's the good and bad thing about Bowen, is it does have a bypass. Like,
yeah, it's not on the highway. You don't have to see the beauty of it. And driving past those salt flats on the way in doesn't sell the town.
Yeah. No. Look, absolutely. I think it's look, and I talk to people about this, and I get a little bit of little bit of both, you know. People are like, oh yeah, but that's the secret, you know, don't let it out, you know, that sort of thing. But
that's why I say good and bad, but
exactly, yeah. So, but then there's a lot at the same time. There's a lot of young families here now that need, you know, opportunity.
I do get that too.
Like and look, it doesn't have to change it. Like, and that's the other thing to it. And the difference is that if the people here embrace it, the change, then they will control it, you know. Like, but that's the problem, and that's what I kept saying at the Chamber of Commerce and stuff, is that one day there will be like a big industry that comes. And look, I'm not gonna lie, it's already sort of happening. Like, all the caravan parks around here have been bought, all the pubs are getting bought, all big by big groups and chains and everything. So they all know something's gonna happen. You know, there's the 60 million in the jetty now. You know, they're going to redo that. They're going to redo the marina.
Yeah, they just got the big grant to do more houses.
So there's things that are happening. You know, Gilmore Spaces here. There's things that are happening that are going to change the town. And if the people already here haven't latched on to that narrative of what the town is, then it'll just get lost. There's nothing online. No. If you look up Bowen online, you get nothing. Like, there's nothing. Like, I was working with Bruce, Chamber of Commerce, just to digitally get some of the history involved, like, down, you know, like, and that was a struggle in itself, you know, just because it's all getting lost in that generation. Like, it's all just people's stories and like people pulling out photos and stuff like that. But yeah, there's no record of any of that stuff. Like, you go to the museum, you know, there's a bit of that action, but like, even they're struggling, you know, to keep afloat, you know. Like,
I don't know how many years I've been and I haven't been to that museum.
Yeah, totally. But see, because it's different generation, you know, like, and if you want to keep that sort of memory alive, you really got to, and that's my next step with Fishing Classic, is to do the 30 years thing. Like, you know, there was a few comments where it was like, oh yeah, but it's not, it's a different thing, you've rebranded it. Like, you know, like, I'm like, look, you know, the thing behind that is that I made it incorporated and I needed to rebrand it as a start, you know. So it's called the Bowen Fishing Classic now, not the Family Fishing Classic Wet Weekend or whatever it was called in the past. The reason being is mainly wanted to, you know, one, shorten the name.
Surely that can't be the big problem. Like, it's the Fishing Classic. Like,
it's the Fishing Classic. It's Fishing Classic. So look, I'm not like coming in to make this like the Russ. This is from Russ and, you know, Sharon and all the old team. You know, it's all above board. You know, it's not just me stepping in trying to brand as the Fishing Classic. It's legit. And the 30 years thing, I think, is killer. You know, like, why not? It's a perfect opportunity to turn in. So that's my next step. You know, like, marketing wise, I want to keep that alive. So I've got a couple of promos coming that shout out to the past, and, you know, like, old, you know, look back at the old classics and stuff like that. No, it's good, because, and I've got a page coming on the website that's going to be like the history of the classic and stuff like that, because I want the website to be a real hub for the information. Not like a lot of these fishing competitions, the website is literally just like, you know, species of fish and what the prizes are and stuff like that. I really want to make that website, you know,
about the event just as much as the fishing.
Absolutely, and to keep evolving it just as much as the event, you know, like, because that's a big part of keeping these things going, you know.
It's good to see it getting a nice revitalization. COVID was kind of a bad time for it.
Yeah, definitely. So and look, you know, the thing is though, like, everyone talks about it, like, I think it's just that everyone just loved it, the concept of it, the fun down there, you know, like, because at the end of the day, it's like, you know, you're just putting some stuff down there. It's like, it's the crowd and the people that are making it, you know, and
music, food, outdoor entertainment, everyone goes down, has a good time.
Exactly. Look, and like, you know, for me, it was about making it free as possible, you know, like, money-wise and stuff like that. You know, I got kids, and we skipped the Bowen show the last couple of years because it's just too expensive. You know, like, it just...
They do their best, but it still hurts.
They do their best, and I understand it, and I've gone through that with the amusement rides here, which we're not gonna go down that road in the end. You know, we just
you heard that quote and went, oh, that's I can't do that.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy, and a lot of, like, and I get it, like, a lot of that stuff, and they all want money up front and everything like that, and I just, look, you know, it's just, kids have been on these rides a million times. You know, like there's a lot of carnivals going on at the moment that have the same rides and stuff like that.
With screens now, kids aren't as interested.
We got some different things going on. I got a guy in town who runs gaming comp.
The arcade joint?
No, not the arcade, but like actual like online gaming competitions. Game league stuff.
That'd be good.
So he's got a setup. He's got like 10 Xboxes and screens and everything. So we got like a kids area. We're gonna have some like rides and little but it's not gonna be like the big carnival style.
Yeah.
But we'll have some of that stuff and like kids, more involved kids things. Like, you know, I got people who wanna do things with the kids and stuff like that, and we'll do like mini comps, you know, rigging up the fishing rods that can do it the fastest and all that sort of stuff.
Got the lure casting dude.
Yeah,
he's good value.
We're gonna do all of that sort of stuff. So a little bit more interactive things, but the gaming thing will be cool. He's got like all fishing games set up and stuff like that. So we'll have like digital fishing comp. You know, the kids are all over it. They're into it. You know,
be
like
good.
So
good value.
Could have like the champion digital angler. You know, like and like there'll be prizes and stuff like that. So things like that. I don't know, like, you know, something a little bit different, just because I feel like the carnival rides is a bit, you know, same old thing.
So you don't have any worries with the cameras. You keen to get up on stage on the day?
Oh yeah, look, I'm not worried about that. Yeah, I'm down for anything. I used to perform and stuff like that when I was younger. I've been on stage before.
Oh, nice.
It's all good.
So this one's dropping like a week or so before, because that's the aim, get it out that week before the event. Anyone wants to check it out, where can they find you? What's the best way to get in touch?
What? Get in touch with what? Me?
Yeah, get tickets. Get down there.
Oh, yeah, just the website, bfc.fish. That's it, mate.
That's awesome. That's so easy to remember.
Yeah, that's it.
Look, I know you don't use computers at all.
No.
You can find that.
Yeah.
BF,
we will get
not
ours.
BCF, BFC.
We were talking about it before. You said BCF wrong.
BFC.fish. You know, like that's it. No, look, it's just everything's on the website. Like it's explains everything. Buy the tickets there. It's super simple.
Awesome as.
Button
Well,
on the top.
can't go wrong with it.
Yeah, we do that.
Thank you so much for coming in, mate. Appreciate it.
Good. Happy to